can't hear this? I don't understand why you can't hear that, but you can hear the other stuff that we did. All right.
Oh, weird, isn't it?
All right. Well, if it plays through, great. If it doesn't, it's funny. All right.
It's like I got a half a word balloon coming out of my mouth.
A word balloon. Oh, you picked the original American Gladiators, not the new one they created in 2004, I think is when they said this other American Gladiator came out.
Is it the Hulk Hogan one you're saying?
The Hulk Hogan one. That one was the one behind me is the original American Gladiators, where the 30 on 30 just came out on ESPN. Now, I was hoping, and I think the world was hoping, that the American Gladiators 30 on 30 was going to discuss the American Gladiators, which behind here I think is Nitro, and I think that's Thunder. And the blonde hair right here is Thunder. And it was supposed to be, when I was growing up in the 80s, American Gladiators was like that show, which is like what The Rock came out with. What The Rock come out with? Remember the one he came out with? The people competed against each other, and it came and went. His little show about they went out and battled.
LA Knight was on that. Fuck, what's the name of that thing?
I don't remember, but that was the show, and everything since then. There was no reality TV, is how this was kind of being portrayed. Like there was no reality television, and nothing had seen anything like this. And so the behind the scenes story of the American Gladiators was about this guy, Ferraro, I think is what his name is. Let me look up his name again. His name's John Ferraro. And also this guy named Dan Carr. And these two individuals, you would have had no idea.
Carr?
Yeah, you would have had no idea. And they came out of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Guy Carr.
What is it? Erie? Is it Erie?
SUV.
Well, it was like David Carr. This is my internet connection.
David Carr.
So remember
Derek Carr. David Carr.
Remember the
PTSD for you, and once you mention that for the Raiders.
Stupid. Different.
What if he ends up doing really well for the? I know. What if he ends up doing really well for the Saints? That going to piss you off?
No, because I have a feeling he is going to do really well for the Saints.
You think so?
Yeah, he's going to be the way to switch gears on the Raiders, but probably going to be awesome. He's probably going to lead them to a playoff, and then we're stuck with Garoppolo with I can't pass my physical, dumbass. I got ankle surgery right away. Stupid, dumb shit. How do they not see that?
Hopefully you drafted a quarterback.
We did. We drafted a quarterback late in the
seventh round.
So anyways, back to my story. So this guy behind
is
Johnny Ferraro. Okay. He's the creator of American Gladiators. So they say pretty much the entire documentary for the 2-part series, it's a 2-day event, is about this guy and this other guy, Carr. Back in the day, they were steel workers, and he had nothing to do with it. But this guy Carr was a steel worker, and the guy Carr created American Gladiators in Pittsburgh, Erie. Is it Erie, Pennsylvania? What is it? Is it Erie's in Pennsylvania, right? In Pittsburgh.
Yes, I believe so.
So this guy, David, now you get me thinking David Carr. Dan Carr created that. The whole story was pretty much about this guy and how he was the original creator of American Gladiators. And no one knows who he was. He was like a steel worker. He was from Erie, Pennsylvania. He was an arm wrestler. And what they said was him and his buddies got together. and they said, we're going to create like matches with all the steel workers, and we're going to do this outside like a picnic. And what they're going to do is they're going to fight and they're going to brawl and they're going to do all these things outside, and they're going to do like a little contest. And they did it, and they called it the American Gladiators is what the show basically said. And then after that, this guy somehow got hooked up with them because they were friends. And he, looking like Donald Trump, doesn't he look like Donald Trump with black hair? He was an Elvis impersonator, is how they all met each other. And this whole entire show goes into
you ain't nothing. I'm just laughing at a picture of Trump singing fucking Elvis songs. You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
That was good.
Fucking just a bunch of songs.
So this guy, the whole
Eddie Murphy. You remember Eddie Murphy?
There's
hey Elvis, you want some lemonade? Lemonade. That cool. He had to sing all of his lines on Eddie Murphy Delirious. Elvis had to sing all of his lines.
You don't want to discuss this. This guy, Dan Carr.
I'm along for the ride.
He's an arm wrestler. Okay. And so he's a steel worker. He created.
Doesn't even look like him. That was how many years prior was that?
Dan Carr? No, this is a different guy. This is
his friend.
This is the original guy, is what the whole show came down to be. This guy created American Gladiators in Erie, Pennsylvania. And somehow the guy that I showed previously took the idea, went to California, told them that they were going to create this show and get it on the air. And then this guy sees it on television and has no idea that this is moving forward is the way it is.
Ooh, he stole it from him.
And then the whole entire first series, we don't know who this guy is. And then all of a sudden today, when I watched the rest of it, they interviewed this guy, and it was a real letdown. Like, this guy looks sick. He probably is in his late 60s now. And it just, I don't know. And it didn't do anything.
Did he sue them and win?
He didn't do anything. He just basically
interviewed him.
He just threatened to beat him up every time. He went to Vegas and confronted him at one point when they were having Vegas shows. Get this. This is how much I didn't know what was going on with American Gladiators. They had shows in Florida, like dinner shows, kind of like the joust little crap that they do, medieval times. They had a show where people ate dinner and watched the American Gladiators in like an arena. They had shows in Vegas. This guy took this thing to the extreme. And all I remember was the TV show, and you don't even remember that. So I don't understand how you don't remember American Gladiators.
But I remember the show. I just
I remember is I
watch it that often.
I remember this part of the show. You know, the battle scene, the contest and everything that went on, and all the stuff that went on. So to get into this story, this is what I was hoping for. Like, where are these guys now? Where's Nitro? So they get in the show, and the only people that show up is people. The only guy that I recognize was Gemini. And then the rest of the guys.
I remember that name, Gemini. I think I remember a lot of the names.
Your microphone's cutting off.
Sky was Sky one of them? Sorry about that.
It was Zap.
Was Sky one of them?
They might have been.
Zap.
So here's how it went.
I think Sky may have been a woman.
And this is where I can't believe you weren't into this, because this was a lot during the professional wrestling years of the 90s that this became super popular. And so they were trying to say, and this must have been during the time before wrestling became the Raw, what was the era where they became real edgy?
The Attitude Era?
Attitude Era. So this must have been way before that, because the national television, all the TV productions weren't interested in this because of the way everybody was dressed, especially the female gladiators. They were real sexy looking, right? So they had kind of a sexy look on them. So they were like, we don't like this because all it is sex and violence and all that. And this must have been way before Attitude Era took. So this show already had some kind of people going, we don't want to deal with this. because of all the sex and attitude crap and everything that was going on. So the guy right here, that's
if that isn't a poster boy for the 80s, I don't know what else is.
Dude, check out that one guy. So the people that were in this show, this documentary,
headbands, aerobics, spandex.
Dude, check out this dude. Check out his hair. His hair is the best. That guy's hair is the best. It's like
got like Ultimate Warrior hair there.
So yeah, so that guy was in it. He was interviewed. Gemini was in it, which is
it looks like Ron Simmons.
That's
looks like Gemini looks like Ron Simmons, Farouk.
Gemini, and then a female that I didn't know, a female gladiator I didn't know who that is. So, anyways, these three were in it. The Malibu, who's the guy with the big hair, that guy was probably the main. He probably talked the most. And Malibu was a wrestler. He wrestled after his time with. So, anyways, so you're like, what happened to all these guys? That's what you really wanted to get into. Like, what happened to all these characters? Nothing. They signed contracts to be a part of television. And this guy, the original, not Carr, but the other guy, Ferraro, looks like Donald Trump with dark hair. That guy had them all sign contracts. It sounds a lot like the 80s wrestling, where they just were given a contract that was very minimal money. They had no rights. They had nothing. They had no rights to the toys. They had no rights to anything. And so they signed it. And so
shouldn't that be illegal, though? Because he just sounds like he was taking advantage of them.
In the 80s, remember, this is the 80s. This is when people barely made money because all they did, well, they signed contracts. And so now it's not like it is today where people can go back and fight, like college kids getting paid now to be playing college. These guys just basically they signed a contract that said, hey, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. And you're going to get no rights to anything. You're not going to get anything. And this dude took it to the extreme. And again, he sold all these toys. He had all these toys that he sold. And I remember these things were so stupid. Like, you're going to play with these toys. This is like, again, this is during G.I. Joe time. These toys, and you were just mimicking the show. And so I'm watching this, and all I'm thinking to myself is that's exactly how, pro wrestling back in the 80s was too. They would sign away their rights to basically claim anything from the shows, anything toys, any type of
merchandise. Now Vince didn't give them much in percentage wise, but when it was gigantic and the thing took off, that was still a lot of money, 1% or whatever the hell they gave him. So this fucking Ferraro guy didn't give him shit.
According to Malibu, the guy with the big hair, he got $25,000 for 50 episodes, which was, they did 2 shows a day. So, but again, part of me's like, they would have never been noticed and been on anything if it wasn't for American Gladiators. But you're right. If you were a good owner and a good producer and a good creator, you probably would have said, hey, we'll give you some money if we start making a lot of money off this, which they did. And that was the thing, is Carr got $150 from the whole thing. That was supposedly his cut from the whole deal. And so he was pissed off because he thought he should have got more. And the whole thing was focused around this Ferrari guy. And that's what the whole show was about. And all I wanted to know is, like, what happened to all these guys? Gemini's living in with his family. A lot of them are kind of beat up. This one guy, Laser, who they ended up seeing at one point, he's all back's all broken from falling on. I guess they said the mats were full of just air, but not enough to hold their weight. They were hitting the ground, and I don't know if you remember a whole lot of the stuff that they did, but it was kind of like, holy crap, they're doing a lot of like physical with people who aren't really like. I remember them having tryouts in Phoenix to be a participant, and they basically said in the show, "You there?
He's back."
Yeah, my
Coach JC.
internet just dropped off. So, anyways, they were saying that what was I talking about before I dropped off?
You were saying the status of all the participants, like you were
So
saying,
like you could try.
Gemini was
No,
living with his
you could.
parents and
So they had
all that
tryouts.
stuff.
They had tryouts, and they said if you can't do 24 pull-ups, you weren't even like you didn't even move on. So a lot of these guys were athletic that were participating against the Gladiators, but some of these Gladiators weren't athletes. Like the only guy that played professional football was Gemini. The rest of these guys were just bodybuilders or dudes. So they start complaining during the show, like I was getting injured, and they were talking about their injuries. And a lot of their injuries, like I cut my forehead up here, or I kneed myself in the face falling. Like that's part of the game, man. You would think like
I need myself in the face.
yeah,
Falling.
I broke my femur or something. None of them ever got.
I stubbed my toe on a chair last night, and it's very painful.
I fell down and the participant elbowed me in the face. It's like, really? No shit. That's part of the
You know, something to add to the stuff. It would have been cool to get their takes on everything, because I could have sworn I watched something on, I don't know if it was the later ones or whatnot, but those participants took pride in not allowing those, like the contestants to get there, because they figure these contestants are like inferior athletes. So they're like, if these contestants can get past them or get the best of them, they took it personally. And that's how they kind of motivated themselves when they're in these competitions. Like, hey, this normal Joe shouldn't be able to defeat us. We're like Adonises and goddesses. And, you know, that's what I remember. Some documentary maybe before this 30 for 30 on. I of course didn't see. I didn't even know this existed until you brought it up as an episode. But I remember them saying that, like, they really took it personally when they would be in these competitions.
right, because it was supposed to be like they were the gladiators, so they were supposed to be unstoppable, right?
Yeah,
They're
they're
supposed to be the dudes that they're supposed to be the dudes that like, oh my god, these guys are the strongest guys ever. But the whole show never really talked about. And the thing is, this is where I was getting at. A lot of these gladiators, the nitros and all those dudes that are in there, they didn't want to be on the show because they all have problems with how they were treated. And they couldn't get them on the show, and none of them wanted to talk. But some of them have written books, and some of them have talked about, you know, the problems with Ferraro and his character and how he was. But it was almost like he was trying to portray a professional wrestling type of owner, the way he acted. And, you know, and when they were all going to have a strike and a walkout, like we were not going to do this anymore. And he was like, fine, go find another job, you know, see what happens. And I'm just thinking that's the part that it seems like there should have been more about the gladiators and where they are now. That's what I wanted to know. And the only one they focused on was that one dude with the big hair. He became a druggie. He was pretty much, you know, gone, and he couldn't handle his life, and he wanted to be in movies, and he wanted to be a stuntman.
Comedians 30 for 30. What happened to Coach JC?
What happened to all comedians? Well, that would be a good one too.
Popular comedian from the area of, I don't even know if we want to say where it is. Flags, okay, let's say it's Flagstaff, Arizona comedic scene. We tried to reach out to Coach JC, but he's doesn't want to be interviewed because
of issues with clubs.
That's what theaters and clubs screwing him over, so he doesn't want to be on here and give them promotion.
That's what it was kind of like. And then so they brought in
I guess you can't blame them, because still the brand is benefiting from them talking about it. So somebody is getting money for their probably name being used on it. They probably don't even want to give this asshole any more money than he already took from them, I guess.
So that's what got me to the point where all of a sudden this guy who was producing this show was really running out of production of like, what do I do now? And they brought back American Gladiators in 2004. And that's when we knew one of the wrestlers that we knew when it got in there and became Wolf. And then they brought Hulk Hogan in. And they brought in it's like a noise in my house.
I thought you were gonna sell that Hulk Hogan steam plane.
So Hulk
Familiar
Hogan,
music, brother.
yeah, that's what he says, and that's how he says it in the little thing. He's like, "You really took your time. You almost got done. You almost got toasted there, brother." And it's like, and that's what they said. They said that was the worst part of the whole show is that it
This
didn't.
is American Gladiators, brother.
Yeah, this is where the strongest survive. And so they just said that it came and went. That's all they said. It came and went. And so
How long did the remake last? Like 1 or 2 seasons?
it did. I don't think it even lasted longer than a season.
Oh wow.
So this is where I
So this fuck didn't want to pay these lower level guys, but he was willing to pay Hulk Hogan. Obviously, Hogan had to get a ton of money. That
well
guy isn't doing
no.
anything for free.
So what happened was the TV production company got a hold of Ferraro when he was down on his luck and he was selling boats in Florida. That's the other part that's sad is all these guys were TVs like this guy behind me, Gemini, and you're like, where are they now? And they're like, they're hawking insurance. It's like, this.
I got a good boat for sale if you want it. It's right in the dock. It's a good boat.
It's signed by Malibu itself. Malibu says for a $400,
pick it up right now.
For $400, Malibu will come and see you on your boat and hang out with you and do
Malibu will live on it with you.
Malibu.
He doesn't know about it yet, but I'm gonna get him on there.
All he needs
is gonna be a beautiful boat.
All he needs is $200. Dude, when they came and saw Malibu,
he's gonna strip for you for about $200 a night.
Yeah, speaking of, he was a stripper. He was
he
was. He was a Chippendale dancer at one point. But the funniest shit is that he shows up. They show up to interview him, and this reminded me of like those wrestling shows. What we're going to talk about later, once you watch it, is that Dark Side of the Ring. The dude opens the door and he's like, "Hey, what's going on? Come on in. Keep it down. My roommate's asleep, but I think we can talk over here." And I'm like, "Your roommate? you're like 52 years old." So
the States, keep it down, Coach JC. We got to walk over 6 of these roommates here before we film our next scene.
Do you think there's a ghost in my house?
Is there a ghost? Is it the ghost from the Orpheum that's followed you?
Maybe when I was making fun of him in the last scene. Because look me up on the Instagram at thegesture.com at gesture comedy.
That needs to be an episode right there. Ghosts. Have you ever seen a ghost with Coach JC and MC Brown?
So, anyways,
as Coach JC gets knocked down by a ghost in the middle of the episode.
Okay, no shit now. The television
really going on.
Television just came on downstairs.
Your dog's just watching TV.
Motherfucker, huh?
I don't have all day here. Fucker, take me for a walk.
My dog's watching Paw Patrol. So, anyways,
Hong Kong Phooey.
I don't even know where the hell I'm at in this conversation anymore. So
you just switched to this pyramid thing. We were talking about.
So these are the events. These are the things
and his boat.
So they got called and they put in the new Gladiators, and this was the new Gladiator show with the whole different the image and all that stuff. And they brought in smaller than what used to be the Gladiators in the 80s, and that's what the old Gladiators are like. They don't really look like much because they're not as big as like we were. They were all huge. And of course, those Gladiators, the 80s, big steroid era, everybody's taking steroids, everybody's getting huge, everybody's doing shit, and there wasn't a whole lot of attention to
Rage.
So
Gladiator rage.
So, and that's what they were saying. They had to go into like, I was getting so angry, I was being more violent, and it's like, whatever. Again, they were trying really hard to draw this out as much as they can, even though, in a nutshell, the show is about those two dudes coming up with something in their backyard, creating it. This guy steals it, goes to LA, tells him he's going to get it on television, never pays these guys, never gives it back to them, never does anything, and then runs with it for 7 seasons. So, and these gladiators who are complaining today about how they were mistreated, pretty much, they did it to get on television. And all I wanted to find out was, where are some of these gladiators? And the thing is, they only
They
interviewed
don't.
a few of them that actually
They,
appeared
wa-
on the
they don't
show.
want to tell you. They don't want to fucking
I
tell you.
want to
They're
know
like
where,
working at a car wash somewhere, and they don't want to fucking tell you what the fuck they're doing
I
now
mean,
because they got screwed.
even when you look it up, like I am right now, you look it up, it doesn't talk about more than the guys who appeared on it. And that's the thing, is what happened to these gladiators? A lot of them got on television because of their size. A lot of them got, recognized for their size. But not this whole show really discussed the actual gladiators, other than the mistreatment and the injuries they received, which is minimal. I'm telling you right now, if other than the guy's back injury, and who knows, he could have got that from doing other things, lifting weights, whatever. But other than that, they got out of this doing an event like What's Behind Me, where you climb up to the top and get pulled down and tumble down these padded stairs and land on your neck
Well,
or something.
I have an idea for you. Why don't you start contacting all of them and have them like
Appear on our show.
spoken words tour here in Flagstaff, Arizona. Hosted by Coach JC is American Gladiators reunion.
Get on here.
They're gonna tell stories from their past.
Can you see? Can you
Some
see
of
who
it
would
might be
show up?
funny, some of it might be very sad.
Can you see who shows up at this? It'd be a bunch of old dudes like myself going, dude, Nitro, I remember you. I want you to sign my shirt. I got some toys here with you. I want you to sign them.
Sky, lift me up on your shoulders.
Sky. Is that all you remember is Sky?
That's fucking only name I can.
There's
Nitro.
Zap,
I remember
Laser,
him.
Nitro.
I remember him as you say it, but that's the only one I actually remember. Sky.
So yeah, so this show behind me, they tried to recreate it, and how the guy got involved is they contacted him and they said, "We want you to come down and talk. This is sad too. We want you to come down and talk to you about it." And he's like, "Oh wow, you guys are going to bring back American Gladiators?" And he said, I appreciate you contacting me." And they said, "Well, only because you have the rights." So they didn't want him to do anything with it. It just brought him back because he has the rights to do something with it, which it didn't last because no one really cared anymore. Because by then we've had The Real World, we've had all these other shows out, and now reality TV is like everywhere. So no one really gives a shit anymore about these contests. And then I can't remember. I mean, again, what was the Rock one? The Rock TV show. Oh, dang. What the hell was that called? But that didn't last very long either.
Well, did it have something to do with him? Like one of his catchphrases or something? Like
It was like the challenge or something, but it was like
the mountain or some shit like that. Yeah.
Titan Games.
Titan Games. Yeah. That's
Titan Games. So again,
Titan Towers, produced by WWE.
I'm surprised that the Titan Games didn't get sued by this dude for mimicking exactly what you just saw, right?
That's what Titan Games was, basically American Gladiators 2.0.
You never saw it?
No, I've heard about it. I knew the WWE star LA Knight, who used to be known as Eli Drake, and before that Sean Ricker. I think they probably gave him a name for that show too, but his real name is Sean Ricker. But yeah, he was on there. Apparently he's a mixture between Stone Cold and The Rock. I don't know why WWE doesn't push him, because he's kind of got the same cadence of The Rock, and kind of like, but he's, just a jacked Caucasian dude. He's not, half Samoan, half, African American. So, but he was funny enough. He was on the show, but I don't know how much he actually interacted with The Rock himself. But yeah, that's what it's primarily known for, him being on TV. But I don't remember anything of it because I never really.
He was a contestant on the Titan Games, and then he
was
a wrestler.
Yeah, he was not a contestant. He was the actual, like, one of the gladiators, whatever you would call them on the Titan Games.
Contestant. They didn't have gladiators. They didn't have.
Oh, so
they didn't
is
have
that him. Is that him right there?
What was his name?
I don't know what his competing name was, but his real name is Sean Ricker.
So this was the games. Like, it was basically two dudes and two females would compete against each other in certain contests. And they would do stuff kind of like the gladiators, kind of like American Gladiators. And that was pretty much the show. And I can't believe that nobody thought the same thing. What was that guy's name? Sean Richter?
Sean Ricker was the name of
how you spell Ricker?
Ricker. He used to wrestle as Ricker, but then he eventually changed his name to Eli Drake, and then he became LA Knight when he signed
Knight.
again for with WWE. If you search LA Knight, it'll come up with a bunch of his shit now, because that's what he's currently. That's what he's currently known as. He's on SmackDown brand.
So he was on season 2 of.
Okay.
He was a contestant.
So he was a season-long contestant. There was no gladiators.
So they compete at the end, and they get these little trophies. Is what the Titan Games was. So they get these little trophies at the end, and they basically compete in these games. But again, since then, they've had other games like on television, like The Floor is Lava and stuff like that. And so the American Gladiators kind of created.
Sounds like American Ninja Warrior. Wouldn't that kind of be like?
See, that's again too.
Thing,
that's
right?
exactly it. American Ninja Warrior is exactly like American Gladiators.
Yeah, right.
It's just there's nobody.
The ripoff, right?
There's the games themselves. All of the games that you see today, and this is just my opinion. All of the games you see today for American in Ninja Warrior, the Titans, The Floor is Lava.
That's the name of his show, The Floor is Lava.
Yeah, what's the other one? The one that was on Nickelodeon.
The Floor is Lava.
What was the Nickelodeon one with
Nickelodeon
the Slime
was
Time?
Oh yeah, I think I don't know what you're talking about.
But you know, I'm talking about the Slime Time, where the kids had to compete in different games and find flags and stuff.
Yeah,
that's American
Double Dare.
Double Dare. Any of these games that require physical a wipeout, these shows were all from American Gladiator. And American Gladiator was the first one that brought that kind of shit to light.
He watches this episode. He's one of the 11 people. That's right, motherfucker. I should sue all these guys. Fucking thank you.
I'm going after him. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, bald guy and hat guy.
Yeah, thanks. He could take he'll take our shit.
I appreciate it. I'm not gonna subscribe to his show, but I'm gonna take your idea to sue all of them, and I'm gonna give you a shout out maybe when I'm dead.
And that's my opinion, is that they all of these shows that require physical interaction with other like contestants pretty much was like American Gladiators back in the day. And so this show, 30 on 30, if you happen to run across it, had no idea that you were going to learn the backstory of how American Gladiators got started. I mean, American Gladiators is so popular that when I was running a rec center, we would have American Gladiator Day, and we would have kids compete, and we would do shit like shoot dart guns at them, like instead of the tennis balls, and we'd have them hit each other with the little pugil sticks from little inflatables. And
instead of laser tag, you should have done that in the mall. You should have.
And then we had
Gladiators.
Yeah. And we had a little obstacle course at the end, like they did in American Gladiator. We had a little bucket thing where they'd run, put balls in it, and try not to get tagged, get their flag pulled, all kinds of crap. And they tried to do.
Could you imagine? It's American Gladiator, just one, no R, no S. It's just you against little kids in the mall. All right, motherfuckers. If you could defeat me, you'll get a prize at the end.
It's just me showing up. I'm wearing like a little singlet, and I'm like,
you're just this. Come on, I'm gonna coach you later for high school football, but see if you can take me now, kid.
Yeah, you guys want to go? Just looking at kids. Actually, I'll just wear my old high school football gear. There's a picture of me in high school. I'll wear my little football outfit.
There it is.
I'll go in. I'll go in there.
That's the name of the TV show. Then you promote Coach JC versus the world.
You want some of this, bro? Look at that face mask I wore back then. That was total.
That's really you.
80. That's me.
It was awful shadowy there.
You can't.
I could see it a little bit more
shadowy. You can't.
Well, with your head covering the other arm, all I could see was that left arm. That was you, huh?
Check out
You
that
had-
face mask, bro. That was a big.
You had hair in there. It looks like, huh?
It was like this. I had that cool
Oh.
cool hair. I think that was me my sophomore year or something like that, or junior year maybe.
20 years later, I'll be doing comedy.
Check out that
Fuck
neck
you
roll,
guys.
too. That cool neck roll, like a freaking like a Howie Long looking neck roll, and the helmet.
Mike from My Bodyguard. Hey, Mike. Picking on Moody again?
Wearing the towel in his neck.
Yeah, he's at the towel like he's some
buddy,
tough guy. Doesn't even have any traps.
Hey, think you're a tough guy? Think you're a tough guy, huh?
Chain make you tough?
Yeah.
I thought you said this guy was tough.
You got a bike?
You said
make it tough. Why you got the bike? You're tough. Dude,
My
body
without the bike. Bike's Moody's now.
Yeah.
That was such a great movie, dude. I love that movie. We should do a review of that fucking movie. See if anybody watches it.
You gonna leave? You gonna leave? Where are you going? Can we go with you? Can I ride your bike? Huh? Can I ride your bike? No? Huh? I'm thinking
punch him in the nose.
Punch him in the nose. The guy's a very polite though. He was very polite as a bully though. He was super nice.
Well, then when he fought him, he's smaller than Linderman, so he's like he had that towel to make it look like he had traps, but he really was just some tall, kind of lankier guy. And then he got his ass kicked. Fucking once Linderman fought, he just kicked the shit out of him.
Then he's like
punched him over the bench, and
he's like, whoa! He's like making that noise when he's getting punched.
Yeah, and a kidney. And then Moody punch him in the nose. Punches fucking Matt Dillon in the nose. You broke my nose. You did.
What was that movie?
You did break your nose. My Bodyguard.
No, was it?
Yeah, that's the actual name of it. My Bodyguard. Oh, dude, that's a classic film. Love that film.
Oh, that kid was such a little nerd.
Remember fucking Matt Dillon? Like, hey, Jill, he goes to Joan Cusack. Hey, Jill, you want to go to the movies tonight? Yeah, I guess so. Have a good time while you're there.
Yeah, I love that part.
Nobody has seen that movie. That is highly recommended by the show.
My Bodyguard. We should review it.
Yeah, I would review it. I love that movie.
Let me pull up that guy's face, though.
Mike from My Bodyguard.
Mike.
Hey, Mike. Yeah. Hey, Mike.
He won't let me. He won't let me ride his bike. All right, as we end the show of Me Podcast You Listen,
My Bodyguard You Listen.
30 on 30 is a terrible show.
Yes.
Pull up, hopefully, before we get cut off here. Mike from My Bodyguard. He's my favorite. And there he is.
There he is. Yes. He doesn't even have the towel there. He doesn't have his towel over his straps.
Yeah, it's mine. It's my bike now. It's my bike.
Thought you said this guy was tough.
Yeah, this guy
said tough. This guy was tough. This guy ain't tough.
This guy's like
this
guy's supposed to be in high school.
I know, yeah.
Showing up in the movie.
Just hires a 20-some-year-old, 30-year-old man to fucking beat up this guy who's a senior in high school for the last 5 years.
Yeah, he looks like an 8th-year senior. All right, Me Podcast You Listen. Make sure you click the subscribe button. Thanks for dealing with me with the American Gladiators 30 on 30.